Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. I'm Michael Chabot, and I'm here to tell you that there will always be challenges in life, and in some cases, like mine, tragedies. But human beings are resilient. All you need to do is make a decision today. Follow me on this journey to hope, and together we will live, we will learn, and we will grow. And hopefully, we will find some hope in every day. Welcome to my journey to hope. There is no tomorrow. You know, it's funny, this week I was listening to a podcast episode by one of my favorites, Andy Frisella, and his podcast, The MF CEO. And they were talking about, why you're procrastinating your greatness. And in it, he has a co-host, talked about the movie Rocky III. And something you want to know about me, the Rocky movies are some of my favorites of all time. Just because of, you have a guy who is not really a hero who overcomes the greatest of odds to become the champion, right? And of course he's Italian. I'm half Italian, right? So there is that. And Rocky III came out probably when I was about 13. I think it came out in like 1983. And I love that movie. My friend that I grew up with, he and I watched it one summer like a million times, right? We just love that movie. And there's a scene where, if you haven't seen the movie, Rocky's the champ. And then he has to fight Mr. T, Clubber Lang. And in the first fight, Rocky's trainer, Mickey, dies and Rocky loses. And Rocky's nemesis, Apollo Creed, comes back to train him and says, look, if we want to train you, we got to break you down. We got to strip you down. We got to start over. And it's funny, I was on a side note, I was talking about that with my therapist this week. And he goes, it's funny because that's kind of what's happened to you. Like this whole thing, your entire tragedy has really been that type of thing, like stripped you down and made you look deep inside and find what you're made of. And so back to my point is that, he takes Rocky out to Los Angeles and they're training and he keeps saying, Mickey didn't tell me to do that. Mickey didn't have me do that. And anyway, one day they're running on the beach and everything Rocky's doing, he's just kind of mailing it in. He's doing it half-assed. There's a scene where Rocky stops running like halfway through and Apollo finishes the run and he looks back and he yells out and he goes, damn, Rock, what's the matter with you? And Rocky says, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And he yells at him, there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. And as I say that, it makes the hair on my arms stand up because, my family and other people who have lost loved ones and especially children, we understand there is no tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't come for us. And the point is that there's a lesson to be learned there with everything we do. Why put off what tomorrow, what you can do today? And I don't remember who said that, but it's the truth. If you can get it done, just get it done. Don't procrastinate it. Get it done. Proud of my son. We're getting ready to start hockey again. So we had a scrimmage the other day. And he came home after a full day of high school. He started high school. And he says to me, what do you think, Pop? Should I work out? And I looked at him. I said, that's your call, but I would. Like that you're committed to it. So I'd get it done. I said, look, I don't remember what time it was, but I said, you got about 45 minutes, man. I'd go out there right now, jump on it, go get it done. And then, take a shower and go to bed. And he did it. I was really proud of him. And, it really fits in with what I talk about, which is, like I said, the episode that I listened to is called, Why Are You Procrastinating Your Greatness? And I thought, it's so interesting because so many of us, we have long days at work and we come home and we say, I really wanted to sit down and work on my book or work on my podcast or build my website or, whatever it is, maybe that is our dream to do. But then we just rather sit on the couch and put it off to tomorrow. And I can tell you, I've talked about in many of my episodes about earned confidence. This is where it comes into play, guys. This is where that power list comes into play. It's like, get those things done. And if you have one of those projects, a passion project, you've always wanted to write a book, start a business, run a daycare, whatever it is, design clothes, be an artist, put it on your power list. Get it done. Don't put it off to tomorrow, because what happens is you start to become a habitual procrastinator. You build a habit of procrastinating because it's easy. It's easier to procrastinate than get it done. And, I love this. Andy talks about pivot points. And he says, there are pivot points in life and they come to us so many times, and it's usually around a decision. And he says, one decision takes you further away from your goal, and the other decision gets you closer to your goal. And typically, it's the easier choice that takes you further away. It's the harder choice that gets you closer to your goal. I'll give you guys an example. So this week, I had to travel to Chicago on business, and when my alarm went off at 5 a.m., I got up, and my wife asked me, she said, honey, you're going away, and I'm a little anxious about it. Would you mind just laying in bed with me this morning and not working out? And in that moment, it was hard for me because, my morning routine is one of my non-negotiables. But, my wife and I have been through a lot, and I love her very much. And I was, for me to, for one day, give that up, I was more than willing to do it. And I knew that's what she needed. So I stayed in bed with her, and I laid there until I had to get up, which I think was about 5:45 before I went to the airport. But look, I flew to where I had to go. I got there. I think I got to the hotel about 5:30. I told the gentleman that I traveled with, hey, I'm going to go to the gym and get a workout in before dinner. So I went to the gym in the hotel. I brought my workout clothes. I got my workout in. I took my cold shower. I did my journaling. I did my meditating. We went out to a nice dinner, had a few cocktails. And guess what? I was up at 5 a.m. the next morning, and I was back in the gym the next day and got it done. Did my morning routine before I had to go to a day's, full of meetings. And, was all day meetings, got on a plane, flew home that night, and boom, next morning I was up in the gym and getting it done. And was I tired? You bet your ass I was tired. Would I rather just lay in bed and sleep in and stay in my warm, cozy bed? Hell yeah. I'm no different than you. I like laying on the couch. I like watching TV. But I've made an agreement with myself. It's one of my non-negotiables. And it's interesting. I want to transition there into that. And by the way, I don't tell you this stuff, guys, to brag or boast. I tell you so that you can learn, so that you can get strength from me to know that, look, I'm just an average guy, right? I'm an average guy. But I'm pushing myself, and I'm learning, and I'm sharing what I'm learning, and I want you to push yourself too, because there is greatness within all of us. Every one of us have greatness within us. I don't care if you're tall, if you're short, if you're attractive or unattractive, if you're heavy, if you're skinny. We all have greatness inside of us. We just have to tap into it. And unfortunately, we walk around distracted by our phones and our tablets and our computers and our televisions, and we get away from that greatness. And I'm here to remind you that it's inside of you. It's inside of you. And so, it was interesting. This week I was listening to Tony Robbins. I used to listen to him a lot. I still do, but I listen to a lot of other people. And he was talking about something that really tied into what Andy was talking about, which is your shoulds versus your musts, right? And if you have things as shoulds, you'll never get them done, right? We all say, man, I should go on a diet. Man, I should eat a little bit, healthier. I should really get in the gym and work out. I should go to bed early. I should start reading again. I should watch less TV. You know where I'm going with this, right? We all have shoulds. We all have shoulds. And the problem is those shoulds never get done. You have to have musts. Your shoulds have to turn into musts, And, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, For years I said I should really get up early in the morning and work out. But I hated it. I couldn't get up. I was exhausted. I was like, the alarm would go off. I'm like, I'm too tired. And then I'd end up working out late at night and not get a great work in because I was exhausted and pissed off because I knew I was going to be tired the next day. And until I turned it into a must, it never happened. And, so you got to think about it. If you want to eat healthy, you can't say I should. You have to make a decision with yourself and make it a must, a non-negotiable with yourself. Like, hey, I'm going to eat healthy and this is what it means, and write it down and read it. Read it every morning when you get up and every night when you go to bed so that you know and your brain recognizes it, right? The brain is an amazing thing. It's all about taking control of your life. It's not that, it's interesting. I was telling my therapist this week. I said, it's funny, like all this work I've done and what I realize is it's not that hard. It's pretty freaking simple. We complicate it as human beings. We screw it up. The formula is pretty easy. Figure out what you want. Make a decision. Stick to the freaking decision. Do the work. Do what it takes. Do what it takes. Andy was just talking about this. He's like, look, here's the thing. Like, you have all these people, especially younger generation, and no disrespect to them, but we've all made their lives easier. I have kids. I've made their lives a lot easier than mine was. And, he says, look, if you're cooking burgers right now, if that's your job, then you should be making the freaking best burger there is on the goddamn planet, right? Like, you should have so much pride that you're making the best burger every time, striving for excellence with every burger you make. Why? Because over time, you're building the habit of excellence. 1, right? 2, as a boss, as a team leader, as a coach of a hockey team, we look for people who strive for excellence, people who bring their best effort in everything they do, right? I mean, think about it. In anything you've done in life, if you've, somebody you've dated, if you've ever coached, if you've ever had employees under you or subordinates, the people who work hard and come with a positive attitude every day and go above and beyond and take pride in what they do, whether it's sweeping the floor, making burgers, computer programming, whatever it is, those are the people that stand out. That's how you get recognized. You got to pay your dues in life. It doesn't come easy. You got to pay your dues. You got to learn. It took me, I was talking about this again to my therapist in my business. It took me like 7-8 years to consistently get to a certain amount of income annually, year after year, that I could count on. There were a lot of years I struggled, but I stuck with it. And, it's interesting because I'm going off on a little tangent here, and I apologize, but because I remember my very first business coach that I hired, and his name is Tim, and I love him to death still. And, he said to me, look, you're focused on the money. You're not focused on taking care of people and doing a great job. You're just focused on how much money can I make. And he said, I promise you this, if you change your way of thinking and you focus on taking care of your clients and providing real value and real solutions to them and do it to the best of your ability, the money will always be there. You'll never have to worry about making money. And, in that moment, I was like, because I was struggling. I was having a hard time paying my bills. It was during 2007, 2008 when, the stock market crashed and the housing market crashed, and it was tough. And about a week later, I called him and I said, Tim, I thought about what you said, and you're right. You're right. I've been focused on the money and I'm not taking care of my clients. And I bought in that day 100%. And I can tell you that from that moment on, my career just shot up. And again, I'm not bragging or boasting. I want you to learn from my experience. And it's simple, guys. You want to be great. I don't care what it is you want to do. You have to work hard. I go back to sports. I love sports. Sports are the greatest teacher in life. Sidney Crosby, a lot of people can't stand him, right? But you can't deny his greatness. You cannot deny as an ice hockey player how good the guy is, how well he reads the ice, plays the game, etc. And he wasn't born with that talent. He worked his ass off. He still does. Anybody in any sport that's great outworks the competition. Tony Robbins was talking about Michael Jordan, and he said, I interviewed Michael, and I asked him, what makes you so great? And he said, I've thought about that a lot, and And he said, for me, I never played against the opponent. Like, I never tried to measure up against the opponent. I only played against myself. I always, every game, strive to be better than I was the last game, right? And all the little things that I focused on. And it's funny, guys that are great like Jordan and Gretzky and Crosby and Brady and Montana and Jerry Rice, the list goes on and on. Sorry if I didn't call out your player, but these guys all do the same thing, right? They don't focus on, well, I made a great pass here, I made a great pass there. They're like, damn, that one pass on 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 10 that was wide open and I missed it. And they go back and they work. One of my other business coaches, his name is Bill, and I'm sure he won't mind if I share it, Bill Hart. Great man, big heart, the name fits. And he has something that he uses for his clients, and he says, look, we all make mistakes. Things happen, and he said, he calls it, what made the plane go down, right? So unfortunately, when there's an accident, they have the NTSB come out and figure out what happened, and they do an investigation. That's what people who are great do, right? They figure it out. What went wrong? How can I do that better? Let me open it up. Let me investigate it. Let me look at it. Let me figure it out. Now, all right, I know what I did wrong. Let me fix it. Let me work on it. You can do that in anything. I don't care if you're in accounting, if you're in marketing, right? Whatever it is, all these principles can be applied to everything in life. So again, I like that. You're not playing against anyone else. You're playing against yourself. Remember that. Don't measure yourself against the competition in whatever it is you do. Figure out how you can become better playing against yourself, right? Take responsibility. And my good friend Daryl, the one who wrote the book that I talked about many times, Heart Leaders, we were talking this week and he told me something that I thought was pretty profound. And I may have talked about it in another episode, but he talks about you are 70% responsible for making the person on the other end of whatever relationship you're in happy, whether it's business, personal, a customer, a mom, your dad, your kids, your spouse, whatever it is. You're 70% responsible for their happiness. And I thought, at first I was like, no. And then I thought, that's interesting. If we all took that same thought into every relationship we have, think about how great life would be. Instead of always worried about what we want and what we need out of it. Andy Frisella says it best. You have to look at everything as it's contributing to your future self. Everything you do, and he talks about, people that are successful in life get really good at doing the mundane things, right? We all have mundane, menial tasks that we have to do in our jobs, in our lives, things that take us further. And, it's interesting because I've talked about visualization a lot. And, people use vision boards and all that. And I think like one of the things is I was talking to a young kid today this week. And I said to him, figure out, what is it you dream to do? Write it down at the top of the paper. And then figure out step by step, work backwards. What is it going to take for you to get there? Right? It might be you have to intern for 3 years. It might be, it might take you 10 years to get there. But if you have a plan and you can see it and you can visualize it, then you can work towards it every day. You can get up and attack it every day and get yourself there. And visualization of where you're trying to get to will also help you stick to your musts, right? So if you're a guy like me and you want to have a ripped six-pack and you want to be shredded, that's where you want to be. So look at guys that are where you want to be and how do they do it? How did they get there? And model it. Figure out what they did. Turn it into your own. That's going to help you stick to your must. That's going to help you get out of bed at 5 a.m. when you don't want to. And trust me, guys, there's many days where I'm like, God dang it, I'm tired. But I know that I've made a commitment to myself. And more importantly, I made a commitment to my daughter. That's why I'm here. I talked about it in therapy this week. My daughter made the ultimate sacrifice for me. She gave up her life. And she saved mine. And, I will always be grateful to her, and it kills me that she had to give up her life to save me, but she has given me an awakening. She changed my life forever. It's great because hockey's getting started up. We're getting ready to start the season, new team, some returning players, some aged out, some new players. And, today I went and stepped in for my buddies on vacation, and I coached his in-house team. And one of my assistant coaches from last season was there too. And one of my players from last year who's aged up came on the bench and helped us coach too. And man, it felt good to be out there. It felt good to talk to those kids. It felt good to help them, and I really just can't wait for the season to start because I feel like I have so much that I can give these kids. And, it's more, I've said this before, it's more than just the hockey. It's about the mental stuff. I want to teach these young men to have a vision, figure out what they want to achieve in life, and work their tails off to get it. Because at the end of the day, when you work hard and you achieve your goals, if you're using the power list and you cross off that last thing on the power list and you write the W and you circle it at the top of the page, it feels great. You feel like you're 10 feet tall. Especially me, I love it. I'm short. So I feel 10 feet tall. It's awesome. You learn to love yourself. You look at the man or the woman in the mirror looking back at you and you go, I'm pretty badass. It's not arrogance. It's confidence. There's a difference. You stay humble, but you're confident because you know you can get whatever it is you set your mind to done. So remember, shoulds versus musts. That's big, guys. That is big, big, big. Stop saying I should do this, I should do that, I should do this. I would say I will do this. I will do that. Goes back to my stuff I did last season for my team, right? I can, I will. I can, I will. I will get up at 5 a.m. I will eat a healthy diet and write it down. Don't leave it to chance. Write down what you're going to eat, or even better, the foods you're not going to eat anymore. I don't care what you do, but stop drinking soda. That stuff is poison. Plain and simple. Get it out of your life, right? And that's not true. I do care what you do. I'm here for a reason. I'm here to help all of you. I'm here to help you. I want you to walk in this journey with me because here's what I realize. When I was in Chicago, we were out to dinner and I got a Facebook message or an instant message on Facebook. And it was from a friend who's been listening. And it was a very heartwarming message. I mean, it was eloquently and beautifully written. And it brought tears to my eyes because I was overwhelmed with the impact that I'm having on people. Because like I said, I'm a regular guy. I'm just walking through this with you by my side. And the fact that I can help people and the things that she said was, she's having a hard time. And my podcast episodes have helped her come out of the darkness. And she's also listening to some of the people that I've recommended, like Ed Milet and Andy Frisella and Tom Bilyeu, Impact Theory. These things are great. Robin Sharma, another one, right? Robin's amazing. Robin's the one who wrote the 5 a.m. Club. And look, talking about your must, right? It can be overwhelming, but Robin breaks it down pretty simple, guys. It's 20 minutes of exercise, sweaty exercise. Get up and exercise for 20 minutes. Get going, get sweating, right? It's 20 minutes of journaling and 20 minutes of meditation. And like me, he finishes it with a cold shower. And it's funny, I have so many friends now that are texting me and sending me messages about taking cold showers. And, cold showers can be hard when you first start. It's tough. But you get to a point where you look forward to it and you push yourself. It's how you prove to yourself how tough you are. Talk about it every episode. Human beings are resilient. Life cut me off at the knees. I could have easily stayed in the darkness. I could have easily chose to quit. I can't tell you how many times I begged God to take my life. I didn't want to live. I didn't know how to live without my daughter. And not just for me, but for my kids and my wife. I didn't know how to be a father and a dad and a husband to a family that had gone through such a hard tragedy. And little by little, I turned my shoulds into musts. And I got up and I decided to fight. And I want that for you. Unfortunately, Life is difficult. Life throws a lot of challenges our way, and you got to do the work. You got to challenge your mind. It's like if you're an athlete, right? You prepare, so that when the game comes and the time comes, you're ready. We will all have challenges always. But let's build up our minds. Let's build our bodies. Let's sharpen our axes, as they say, so that when that time comes, we're ready to swing the axe. There's a verse in the Bible, and I'm going to screw it up, but basically it talks about, Jesus said, build your house on a foundation of stone so that when the storms come, it won't get knocked to the ground. If you build it on, I think he said sand, and I'm screwing it up, I'm sorry, but when the storms come, it'll blow away, and that's what we all need to do, is build foundations of stone. Read those 10 pages a day. Continue to feed your brain, feed your mind. Don't be a habitual procrastinator. Don't procrastinate your greatness. Because, as Apollo Creed says, there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. Do it today. I get up and I do it every day for my Peanut, for my Gabriella, because that's the commitment I've made to myself, and that's the commitment I've made to my daughter. And I want to thank you all for continuing to listen and go on this journey with me. And I know I rambled a lot on this one, but I just want to continue to help. I just want to say that I love you all very much. I appreciate the feedback. And more importantly, my daughter, Gabriella. Poppy loves you so, so much. And I'll continue to fight for you, baby.